Hello, hello, hello. Right, that's not the... Let me just check this, people. Mic, this is not the one, though. Couple of mics, yeah. I'm confused here. Which is the mic? Which is mic? Is this not the mic? Is this not the mic? Un momento. Hello, hello. That is the mic, people. That is the mic. All right. Let me just bring people up here. What is going on? All right. Is it back? What is going on? Let me just un momento, people. Un momento. Just bringing this up. Just loading this. Those of you that haven't subscribed yet, let me just put up my page. Just bringing this up. Un momento. All right. Inna alhamdulillah wa kafah. والصلاة والسلام على رسوله المصطفى وعلى عباده الذين ارتضى ومن بهداهم اهتدى وبآثار أهل المدينة اقتفى وبعد فالسلام الله على القوم أهلا وسهلا بكم ومرحبا حوانيين Layth all the way from Wuhan. Bienvenidos a todos, Khushamadid, Bakhair Ragale, people, and Swagatam. Apologies, I had realized I hadn't put out a post today. Well, it's just the Corona. It's Corona time. Right, so, yeah, just been, like everyone else, slightly under the weather. Coronavirus, there you go. People, those of you just tuning in, where's my phone? Where's my phone? Phone is priority, yaar. Where's my phone? Let me just share this. Those of you, whilst you're just tuning in, you know the drill by now, how to spread the fitan and fasad. Spread the love. Get it out there, people. Click like, click share. Don't worry about it. Let people know that you watch Monday Nights with Mufti. Come out of the closet with it. There's so many people who kind of secretly on the sly they watch me. Yeah, am I like a dirty secret? Just sharing this to my page. Almost done. There you go. All right, so what's going on? Deborah saying, I have fam in Italy. It's not funny. Well, that's, it's not funny, but I think I have a theory. Allahu Akbar. I'm going to be explaining my perception on Corona. So, well, people, well. First of all, you can click like, click share. Let's get that out the way, people. Let me just, those of you on Facebook, I will be focusing on your questions, Facebook and YouTube, mi gente, social media people. So you can share your questions here. Those of you on YouTube, you can share it with if you want to really catch my attention, you can do it with a super chat. Support the Monday Nights with Mufti. Right, so let me see. Zahir says, is that an earring? Come on, yaar. Get your eyes tested. I think you've got COVID-19. Hallucinations. hallucinations, people. So, what is going on? What is going on? We will be taking a little look later on today at some masala. I'm going to come back to that. But as we begin, as always, oh, वाह वाह, जिसको हो जिंदगी अजीज वो ना कहीं लगाए दिल. Wah, wah. People, let's get back to all this that's going on with the corona. What is going on? So there's a lot going on. We took a look at this advice.
Start working
I shared this previously where we had the advice that whatever you do, don't touch your own face. It's way beyond that now, people.
Nose or eyes.
So there, as you can see, but I want to share this I came across. Check this out, people.
मन करता है पार्टी में जम के खाएंगे पिएंगे और मजे करेंगे. चाय पार्टी, दारू पार्टी व अन्य पार्टियों के बारे में तो आपने सुना ही होगा. क्या आपने मूत्र पार्टी के बारे में सुना है? जी हाँ, सही सुना आपने, मूत्र पार्टी, जहां आपको मूत्र पिलाया जाएगा. दरअसल अखिल भारतीय हिंदू महासभा के अध्यक्ष स्वामी चक्रपाणी महाराज ने कोरोना वायरस से निपटने के लिए एक पार्टी का आयोजन.
This is actually to do with how to handle this, that they've arranged these great gatherings in India where they'll all be en masse, collectively drinking cow urine. Provided free of charge. Wah, 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 wah. So, we'll be taking a look at some of these things later on as well. Those of you that are familiar with, I wanted to share, speaking about the coronavirus, I don't know if you've come across Maulana Saab. This is Maulana Abdul Rahim Limbada, our beloved, another beloved of ours, who we'll be taking a look at later on in reference to the corona and his dream interpretation, where he has the communication with Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, as you know, people, and will be
अल्लाह पाक कभी कुछ इशारे करते हैं.
We're going to be taking a look at this के ख्वाब में अल्लाह मियाँ इशारे करते हैं. Allah communicating with these people about the coronavirus in their dreams. But this has just it has driven everybody crazy. And you've got some people who have been going around spreading tweets or messages like this. These kind of geniuses of the Neanderthals, right? Who happen to unfortunately be in the Muslim share. But Muslim populated countries have been free. Any akhi is I just wanted to say Alhamdulillah for the virus. It's cleansing the earth from haramini. It's keeping the people away from the clubbing. And it's a curse from God. That the coronavirus, people, is a curse from God. That's what they're trying to say. And you've got some of these Muslims going around saying God is using this to punish people. And amongst them was a genius like this fellow over here, who said that the coronavirus was a punishment, and then he got it. This you couldn't make this stuff up, honestly. You couldn't make it up if you tried. But this this is what is going on, people. This is what is going on. Seriously. So people have really kind of lost the plot with all of this, and this can be a curse and a blessing. Oof. This can be a curse and a blessing. Right. Mom is reading Zero Hedge based. I don't know what that means even. Is that bloke in Mufti's room? I don't even know what that means. Is there a bloke? Am I a bloke in Mufti's? I don't know what that question means. Sherry, the Flash, Mufti Saab, we love you too, yeah. Right back at you people, man. Stay blessed. Right, you know this whole thing. By the way, I wonder how my beloved Asrar is doing. I wonder if he's like with the rat poison, he's walking into the corona as well. Alhamdulillah, Islam is the truth. I will for this take a visit to Wuhan. Now he doesn't need to go to Wuhan. I'm sure the coronavirus is coming to him. The coronavirus is चल तू वहां पे बैठ मैं आता हूं अब. It's like, so what is this whole thing? Where's my coffee, people? You know, I think many of us, I'm going to be honest, yeah. I think many of us have already got the coronavirus. Many. Me included. I think we've already had it now. Most of us just recovered from it. And if not the majority, but I think many people already have it. And the majority of those many don't even realize that they've had it. And some people have maybe had a fear that they've had it because they've probably developed a little fever, a little headache, but then it subsided anyway, and that was it. So I genuinely believe that. So although it is dangerous for the vulnerable, and by the vulnerable, the elderly especially, for most people, it's not actually... it's not really, they won't really significantly notice it. Or they won't even believe that they've had it. So that's my, so that's my approach. I think I've had it, because I felt a bit down, under the weather, nothing major, just slightly, and that was it. I think I kept myself to myself. I infected all the people. Not right, but that's it. I think so. I think that's it. I don't think they're testing people anymore, because they realize that, look, it's okay, don't worry about it. And I think it's just the panic around it has really shaken. That's what's causing the damage. I think that's causing it's more dangerous than the actual virus itself. That's in my perspective. I genuinely believe that. And I wanted to say a few words on what are my thoughts on the approach that the UK is taking towards this. And what do I think? I'm going to share with you a theory on how I think where I think the coronavirus came from, people. All right. And no, it's not. I'm not going to say it came from heaven or from hell or whatever. But somebody's saying you get a sore throat. Yeah, I think slightly, but I don't think necessarily. And some people don't get any symptoms at all. So yeah, but the UK approach, I actually agree by and large with the approach of the UK on just keep calm and carry on. I don't think the country needs to go into lockdown. I don't think so. I personally see the way the UK is doing things. I agree with it. I think that there's no point just doing certain steps that all it will do is just increase panic. So that's my, I genuinely do believe that. Although, if I was Prime Minister, so this is my advice now going to Boris, that to Bojo, if I was Prime Minister, what would I do differently? I believe, first of all, I would place a greater emphasis on the guidelines, which, although the UK government has given guidelines, they haven't emphasized them, I think, as much. So they should place more of an emphasis on this thing of like, look, like the way they're saying self-isolate, but a bit more also in emphasizing for people not to worry about resources running out. They need to kind of emphasize this. That they have said it, but they haven't emphasized it. They need to emphasize that, look, don't panic, don't kind of stockpile, don't do these things. Once again, they have said them, but they've not really emphasize the point that, look, we are going to make sure that everything is taken care of. The other thing I think I would have done, which really the UK I think has kind of failed in, the government. You see, because this part of the world is not a kind of collectivist spirit, it's an individualistic society. This was the time for the Prime Minister to really rise as a leader. What he should have done, and I would have most certainly done, is gave a speech for the people to really tell them that this is the time to pull together. I know he said something the other day about this is a national effort, but it was nothing. It did not even register. What people need to know is that we need a greater effort to take care of one another. He should have began by nominating already, having it prepared and reading it off, mentioning several volunteer groups. 100, for example, a separate task force set up for volunteer groups to kind of volunteer for national efforts. And the people that could distribute food to food banks, people that would go to elderly centers, people that would go to, and he could read off several names of several of these kind of volunteer groups, himself participate in volunteering, telling people that, look, that we as humanity need to kind of pull together. So this is something I think the UK and the West has kind of failed in. They haven't got this kind of spirit. That they have got it, but they don't. Now was the time to really kind of set it alight in saying that, look, what are you doing for your country? Now is the time to do something for your country, to actually do a humanitarian effort to kind of take care of to be part of something bigger than you, to be part of something altruistic, something humanitarian. Now was the time to not be selfish. And I think that this, even though some of these things were said, but they weren't really said in a true spirit, that people never really felt them. I mean, there was just something about, we need a national effort. I mean, no. It needs to be about that the country needs you. That's what it really should have been about. So that's, I think I would have done differently. Other than that, I don't think the lockdown thing is really effective. If you look at Italy, they've been on lockdown. Their numbers are still rising. I do think what's interesting is, are the numbers actually rising, or are they just simply being discovered? That's another question. Although some countries are on the verge, or they've claimed to have found some, maybe some curative medical interventions. Australia seems to be just repeating, saying that they've found something that works well. But all the drugs, I heard them on an Indian news show last week saying the same drugs. They were basically kind of like HIV drugs and things like this. And you think, well, I heard that on an Indian show already like a week ago. Here comes Australia taking the credit, saying we've discovered it. Yeah, so these are interesting things. Look, as to is Mufti reading the YouTube comments? I've got both comments in front of me, the Facebook ones and the YouTube ones, so I am taking a look at it. So you can ask your questions here. And my thoughts on this actual coronavirus is that I think, here's my theory. My theory is that this is not it didn't actually, like, patient zero wasn't the from the wet market, although I feel the wet market may have been the initial cluster from where it spread. It's interesting to learn, people, that within almost 20 minutes of that wet market, within, I think, 32 kilometers from it, is China's only level 4 biohazard laboratory dealing with lethal viruses, amongst which it specializes in is the coronavirus. So China's first level 4 biolab was created in 2015, and guess where it is? It's in Wuhan. I'm not making this up. You can just Google it. It's in Wuhan, and it's only a 20-minute drive from those wet markets, that Huanan or whatever wet markets. Now, and they've even, a few years ago, they had some kind of worldwide breakthrough that they were presenting on work they'd been doing on the coronavirus. Obviously, the coronavirus is a group umbrella term for many that kind of stem from it, many strains of it. Now, they deal with things like SARS, and when I say deal, they experiment with and explore. That's what level 4 labs do. They what do you think? They don't just sit around watching bloody Netflix and and just dealing with, I don't know, acne and the common cold. They deal with lethal, fatal viruses like SARS and MERS and Ebola and things like this. So they were dealing with coronavirus anyway for a few years. I mean, it's been set up since 2015. And if you think about it, that a global economy like China has its first level 4 lab only set up a few years ago in 2015 in Wuhan. I feel, in my theory, some worker accidentally, I don't think it was an intentional kind of conspiracy plot, but I feel that they accidentally got infected, like maybe pricked themselves. And then probably thought nothing's going to come of it, and he or she is then patient zero. From them, it spreads maybe from the cluster. The first cluster is the wet markets. So this person probably, like, working, pricked his finger. He's like, does a nervous laugh, like, ha 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 ha. My bad. My bad. Almost got infected with a virus. Almost caused a global pandemic. Hey, anybody want some food? I'm going wet markets. 2020 my year. Hey. And then a few weeks later, a global shutdown. Stock markets are crashing, the economy's collapsed, nations are on shutdown. Oh, man. I actually genuinely believe that's more or less, I mean, minus the 2020 my year. Yeah. But I genuinely believe that this is what happened, you know. I think that some person in that lab must have accidentally infected himself or herself, and from them it spread. That's much more palatable. I mean, both are plausible. Then there was a bat. I mean, there were bats in that wet market that leaked some blood, and the blood got on some vendor's hand, and the vendor touched his mouth, and they are then subject zero. So I feel anyway that's so that's the so I don't think so coronavirus, I don't think they made it from scratch at all, but I feel that this strain was a strain that they were working on and engineering, as in they were manipulating it. Hence they shared the genome structure so quickly. Like within weeks, China shared the genome structure of the virus with the rest of the world. And I know, to explain it, they said, oh, that's because we've been working on coronaviruses. But I think it's because they knew exactly which strain. And hence this strain is really strange. It doesn't seem to harm children, which is kind of irrational for as far as viruses go. They don't really discriminate. But this one seems to have a thing for old people only. I mean, and it doesn't follow the rules. It's and I think that's because it was part of what they tweak in labs, and they work with viruses, and they tweak them, and they see how they react, and then they tweak the molecular structure again, and see how it's reacting now, and give it a certain amount of weeks, and explore it, and try to understand it. And that's what virology is all about. And so I think that's what they were doing with this strain. And my bad, I almost pricked myself. Ha ha ha. Patient Zero goes to get some lunch from the wet market. Anyway, right. Somebody said with that, played out the virus to be like a plague. I don't think it's like a plague. To be honest with you, I genuinely think many of us have already had it. I honestly do. And I think in some ways, dare I say this, not to sound morbid or anything, if it wasn't causing the global shutdown that it is, which is tragic, and obviously the deaths, which are tragic as well, and the suffering, unquestionably, but it's almost artistic in the way it's spread. It's unbelievable how this has spread. Like, we are sitting here, I don't know, maybe 10,000 miles away from the epicenter. And within weeks, we have it. And it's not airborne. I mean, to me, that is, wow, if it wasn't for the tragedy, it's almost artistic. It's like, wow. Honestly, and because I genuinely do believe that many of us here have already had it. Myself included. I put myself in that. I think, yeah. I'm ready. I think I'm going to be, give me a few more days and I'm immune. All right. Then we're going to benefit from the cheap travel. We're going partying. All right. So, people, Italy is now the epicenter. Yeah, I don't get that, though. Do you think there's a missing ingredient that they're not telling us? Do you think that there's a missing ingredient that they're not telling us about Italy? Why has it become the epicenter? So that's food for thought, people. But that's my theory on the virus, coronavirus, COVID-19. I do think that it's a hybrid. It's not man-made, but it's definitely been manipulated in a lab. And I feel that the infection was not intentional. It's not a conspiracy like that, but I feel it was a leak. Which obviously China locked down Wuhan immediately. They would have locked down the lab. So nobody's going to find out. But I definitely believe that. And I don't think it's nowhere near as dangerous as people are saying. It is dangerous for a select few, but unfortunately. But I think for most people, they won't, they won't believe that they've had it. Like, they may think that they've had it because they developed a little fever or a little cough, and within a few days it's gone. So yeah, that's my thoughts on it. And if anything, I think the government is generally fine, but they need to assure the people to stay calm. They need to assure them that there will be stock coming, there will be this, there will be that, and pull together. See, this concept of humanitarianism, this is what's kind of missing. Philanthropy, altruism, selflessness, putting others before you. This, honestly, I saw a meme, not a meme, I saw a photograph, and it saddened me that it was a picture of an old lady. It was on social media in a supermarket, and the shelves in front of her were empty. I saw that, and I was actually, I was so saddened to see that, because as I wasn't there in person, but I felt that, see, this is it. People that are stockpiling, Healthy people, honestly, they should be ashamed of themselves. The ones that are massively stockpiling. The supermarkets are going to be absolutely full with stock within 2 weeks. It's just they didn't know there was going to be this kind of a demand, so they haven't ordered them like that. As soon as the rush began, all the major outlets have placed supersized orders. They will be refilling those shelves within 14 days. But it's just, the worst part is, it's just the old people that are being hit, because when they go into the shops, there's nothing there. And poor people. And honestly, I feel I'm disgusted. I saw a clip of some person who apparently was a Muslim, and he's stocked up his house with all this ridiculous food, which is going to, most of it, 80% is going to go out of date. Not going to be able to eat it. And I just saw it, and I thought, what a twat. Honestly, I thought, what a... I'm disappointed in people like that, because they are making other people suffer. I mean, not people, people who are true victims. And whilst you've got idiots like this adding to the kind of scare, and but anyway, it's so the main thing is, people, if those of you that are immune to it, let's say at least for now, as in you've had it, you're better, or whatever it is, I think you, or those of you that, even if you haven't, but I think if you can partake in some humanitarian things, then it's an excellent opportunity to do so. Okay, whether it's like food banks, these kind of things, supplies, just being able to help people, the elderly. Obviously, if you have to keep a distance, like they say, 6 feet or whatever, but just to help. I think this is the time, really. The hadith of the Prophet ﷺ, that la yu'minu ahadukum, that none of you is a believer if his stomach or her stomach is full and their neighbor goes to sleep hungry. That this, that la yu'min, you have no iman if that's the state that you're in. So I think it is a time to really pull together if you can, especially at a small level, at a micro level, amongst yourselves, your people friends, family, things like that, inshallah. It will, yes, Allah, it will all, be good, inshallah. It'll all kind of work out. Right, what is going on? Let's take some of these questions. I don't think it can be contained. I don't think it needs to be contained like that. I think it'll just take its natural course and people will just move on. Somebody said veg is 15 pounds a kilo. Yes, the government body, the CMA, the what does it stand for? Competitions and Markets Authority, they've issued a ruling today. I mean, a guideline saying if they will now be investigating people and taking action, because you're not allowed to be exploiting people like this. So that's being issued just today as well. So these people, these people exploiting the public as well. Wallahi, haram what they're doing. That is unacceptable. Especially if anything, I just feel for people who haven't got the means to get it. Honestly, I feel for them. Right, so, and these shops will have it. People don't need to panic. Give it 2 weeks. They're going to be overflowing with all this toilet paper. I don't know why people want toilet paper so bad. But they can have so much of it. Everybody's placed orders. They're coming. So I don't know why people are going mad anyway. Right, people saying, when do you think it'll pass? Yeah, it'll pass. I think within a few. I think the buy thing will be within 2 weeks. That will pass, and the whole thing, I think, within a few weeks. That's my theory, anyway. All right, so let's move on. Mufti, conspiring about bioterrorism. I'm not conspiring about bioterrorism. I don't think that the Chinese did this on purpose. I do think it was a leak from the Wuhan lab, but I don't think it was. I think it's you have to be stupid not to join those dots. There's a that's like saying somebody's murdered in a particular serial killer fashion, and a serial killer just happens to live down the road, or he just happened to be seen there on camera, and you're thinking, no, that's too obvious. So the fact that you've got a level 4 biolab in Wuhan, 20 minutes from where they claim this outbreak happened, you have to join the dots, that's all. But I don't think it was on purpose. Right, so what is going on? Zeba, my beloved Mufti, gee, even if you had 100 wives or not, would you still... would you still marry me? Now, if I say yes, that might just constitute ijab wal qabul. And with all these witnesses, that would make us married. Then there's the scandal, the scandal. And people, they want the scandal on Mufti. They're like, yeah, where's his scandal? Right, with this coronavirus, there's a question. I want to get to an important question. Those people who have been infected and they've passed away, what should we do with their bodies? Right, now, this is an interesting question. First of all, I would say this primarily depends on the medical advice. If the doctors tell you, and the scientists, they tell you that this virus will thrive in a dead body, regardless, the person could be dead, but it doesn't need a living body, it just needs a body to thrive. And it's got a body, and it's going to turn this into a feast. In that case, and if the medical advice is that you should not wash the body, like don't make contact with it, then I would say that you do not need to wash the body if that's the medical advice. If they say that's not a problem, you can wash it, you won't catch it, it's absolutely fine, then fine, you can wash the body. If they say that this body is very kind of toxic at this stage, it's dangerous to be made contact with, and it should not be buried just like that in the ground, I would say in those circumstances, if that be the case, if the scientific and medical advice is that by putting this into the ground, you are just creating a kind of a festive an opportunity for infested ground and fertile surroundings to spread this disease. So people that would, if that be the case, then I would say under those circumstances, it is permissible to cremate the body. Okay. So if they say that, then you can cremate. Just don't say during the cremation that Kalima Shakti de. Kalima Shakti. Just don't do any of that. But you can in those circumstances, if the scientific advice be that. If the advice is that no, it's fine, you can bury them, it's not of danger, then obviously proceed with the burial. If the advice is that you shouldn't make contact with the body, don't wash the body, don't touch the body like that, just have it wrapped in this particular, let's say, wrapping, and then you can just bury it immediately, then fine. And if the advice is no, even burial is dangerous, it may contaminate that region and thereby spread exponentially, then in that case you can simply cremate the body. Okay. And look, I don't know, people may flip out with this, but then they're the same people. Now, I don't believe this hadith, which is in Bukhari, but they're the ones who hail it, that in Bukhari that Sayyidina Ali burnt their dead bodies. They say he burnt them because they were apostates. Firstly, even though I believe that hadith was made up, and Sayyidina Ali didn't do that, but they believe this, majority of these kind of people who would object to what I've just said. So that goes to show, well, if you can burn it as a punishment, you can burn it as a safeguarding measure. Why not? It's not like the body's going to live on. The person has already passed from this world. It doesn't hurt them, So I would say it's in those steps, though. So you take the medical advice, you take the scientific advice. Don't just get all kind of like heroic that, like the rat poison. Oh, I'll say Bismillah, and the next thing you know, you just infected everyone. 2020 is my year. Yeah, I say Bismillah, and then you're like, and then everybody's having to say Bismillah over you. They're like Bismillah as they drop the soil over you. Minha khalaqnakum wa fiha nu'idukum. This is it, people. All right, Muhammad Abbas, you're doing it, man. You're doing it. Much love, much love. All right. Mufti, can we prefer cryonics over grave? And is anything wrong with it from a religious perspective? Right, so, right, that is to freeze the body, people. So as not to bury it, but to freeze it. In the hope that people could maybe do something with it in the future. Like maybe even transplant your brain somewhere else or do something. I think these things are not... I think these things would be permissible. Like it's not... But I don't know if they'd be encouraged en masse because we don't have any proof that that works or anything like this. But I don't think it's haram in that sense. What we have to understand is something. Look, once a person passes away, they have passed from this world. They are no longer in this world. In fact, it's almost... it's overwhelming when you think about it, that when a person has passed, the dead body, people don't even refer to that body by the name anymore. Have you thought about that ever? Like people then call him or her just the body. They don't even say their name anymore. Like if the person's name was Abdullah and he's dead now, even if he's the father or the son or the brother or the friend or the husband they won't say, oh, is Abdullah here now? They'll say, oh, is the body here? You see, because even to them, whilst the person's not even buried yet, they've already made that mental distinction. People have recognized he is no longer that person. That the life, even though the body in its entirety is still here, but he isn't here. You understand? And in a way, that's overwhelming if you think about it. How people, even in other languages that I was thinking about, that I know, they don't refer to them as the person anymore. They would say mayyat, the dead body. They would say the body. They would say, jutha. In Arabic, they would say other, like they don't refer. They would say na'ash. They won't. Like I've not heard. Generally, this is my experience. Maybe in some cultures, people may disagree, but yeah. Haris Sultan, adabars. Right, so do you think coronavirus was originally sent by God to punish the Chinese, as some Muslims claim? We're going to speak a little later on in the Masala segment about Maulana Limbadaji and his dream about how the coronavirus has come as a punishment. He says, ये ख्वाब में कुछ अल्लाह मियाँ कुछ इशारे देते हैं. इशारे. So Allah Miya is giving some ishare to these people. He's sending coronavirus as a disease to kill people, to get revenge. This is so stupid. This is such a dumb belief that God is sending this coronavirus to punish the Chinese. By the way, FYI, China has it on lock. They've already controlled the situation. It's the rest of the world that is now suffering. So, if God did this to punish China by punishing Wuhan instead, that particular region in China, and now China have controlled it within a few weeks, they locked the whole situation off within 4 weeks. So, they've, in fact, yesterday I think they only had 5 cases, and since then I think they probably haven't had any more. But then that's just such a poor attempt by God to punish them. This is just so dumb, isn't it? And I'm going to come to this dream thing where God decided to punish them for raping this lady, and then this is obviously, I'm going to speak about this later on, Limbada's dream. I have a dream. And then he decided to punish the Iranians because they're Shia. What the hell what is wrong with people, honestly? Because the Shia are like gustakh. So God decided to punish them. I don't know how Italy got into the equation. Obviously Roman Catholic, so God's obviously not happy with them either. But then again, Saudi's been infected. Uh-oh. How do we interpret this one, lads? God, ये क्या हो रहा है यहाँ पे? So let's take a look at some questions, people. Right, Mufti, do you believe? Did I just cough? It must be so freaky to cough now in public. Person goes, yeah. But like I said, I think like many people have already had it. I think I've already had it, and I've been cured by now. Right. So somebody said, "What do I think about?" Somebody said Harris paid $5. Yeah, Naz, stop being a hater. People who send super chats to my YouTube, that's just because they support my effort, and it's just as an appreciation. It's not, they can do it to send questions as well, but it doesn't. Look at this. People hating on other people supporting me. What is this world coming to, yaar? Corona, go that way. Go that way, that way, that way. Yaar, is taraf. Somebody had asked Ibn Jurayj, did he mix up Israeliyat? I think, not just Ibn Jurayj's generation, they had several kind of what I would call super spreaders. So, the way the coronavirus has super spreaders, which are children, right? So, yes, Haris Sultan just commenting that it's as scary now, that is true, in public to cough as it would be for a random person to say Allahu Akbar. Now probably coughing is probably worse. So coming back to the question, I think people like Ibn Jurayj and Ibn Shihab Zuhri, and there's a whole cohort of that generation. People like Qatada, A'mash, and these are what I used to call powerhouses, but I'm replacing the term with super spreaders. Because they are the super spreaders of those generations that really spread out hadith. And it's in many cases, they kind of contaminate a lot of the literature as well that kind of comes from them. Whether they did this intentionally, whether they did it, you see, I don't know. It's difficult to attribute intention to them. But definitely these people are the sources. They are the super spreaders, honestly. Ibn Jurayj, it's crazy, if you read how he was dealing with these things, he would kind of, the way he would just go up to and say, oh, I'm just going to transmit all these hadith from you, yeah, in this book. Is that okay? Yeah? And the others would just go, yeah. And he would do the same thing as people would come to him. They would just go and transmit this from you. And you go, yeah, that's all right, yeah. If you read the Ilal of Tirmidhi, he's got like so many stories like this. It's crazy. Faisal Durrani says, brother, do you think the Islamic prayer is actually a kind of meditation, as all successful people today meditate every single day? I think that's a good question. The Islamic prayer definitely has an aspect of it being like that if you train yourself to kind of be very mindful, because meditation is mindfulness. It's not as maybe targeted as other meditations are, but it could be as targeted if one was as mindful. But but the problem is, or the challenge is, that because it's every day done so often, it's all too easy to, because of the ritualistic nature, to just become a kind of an automated ritual. So you're kind of on autopilot as you go in. You just Allahu Akbar and go. You just Alhamdulillah Rabbil, and that's it. And then you're just wandering off thinking about things. And I think it's all too easy to do that. Right. Somebody's saying, Mufti, you've already read books of Harold Motsky. I mean, I've read some of the theories and summaries of Motsky's works, but I'm still learning, I'm still reading. Right now, I was going through something on the Fatimid dynasty. I've almost finished it. It's so fascinating, honestly. Wow. The problem, shall I tell you something, guys? Let me, yaar, zara khul ke baat karen, yaar. Let me level with you guys. Honestly, it's such a shame that we are so riddled with sectarianism that we don't appreciate things. I'm going through this Fatimid history right now, and it's so fascinating. The rise, how they set themselves up, how they kind of rose to such prominence, such power, how they set up Sicily as the kind of state that it was, which was then at least Muslim for anything between 1 to 2 centuries, and flourished, and it had a strange culture of its own. And in fact, one of the Muslim historians who visits it after the Fatimids rule, I mean during whilst the Fatimids have ruled it for at least like over 100 years, and he describes how it's strange and they have their own culture and the fruits, and the Fatimids had taken several fruits there, several aspects, design, architecture, but even the language, that he says that they had a strange dialect of Arabic. And is it Ibn Haykel? I think it's Ibn Haykel. But anyway, it's one of the historians describing it. And he mentions how there's a lot of intermarriages between the Muslims and the non-Muslims there. And he finds it so strange. He obviously looks down on this and says that they were, questions their morality. But I found it very fascinating. And one of the, hence even today, one of the things called the Khalisa is actually what the Fatimids had named the Khalisa. It was the region in Palmyra, which was Balmera at the time. But it's fascinating, and just seeing this, and at the time how they had one of the most powerful navies in the entire Muslim world, the Fatimids, and it was led by this kind of family of known as the Kalbids from Bani al-Kalb. Like that's the kind of Arab lineage. Hassan al-Kalbi and his brother and their children and that whole family, and they were like leading admirals of this navy. It's just amazing. Wow. And the whole politics behind how they set things up, how they set up cities, how they made Mahdiya, they made Mansouriya, how they kind of had defenses. But it's the shame aspect is really the history about the Fatimids has been really written mainly by Sunnis. And obviously, can you imagine, it's like imagine Sunni history being written just by the Shia only. Like it's just tainted with, these were miserable lunatics who were like full of hate. It's not. It's disappointing, honestly, that we are so, that we can't appreciate, even if they were different. So what? Like they achieved something, man. I mean, I find it so fascinating learning about their splits and how they branched off, and from them came the Karamita, who set up for at least 2 to 3 decades the first known communist state that actually spanned from Bahrain towards parts of the Middle East, and they ruled it for a few decades, couple of decades, with the state provided everything. Now, even if I don't agree necessarily with that concept, but I find it fascinating that over 1,000 years ago, some Muslims trialed this. They set it up and it worked for years. It's like, wow, okay, let's at least appreciate their efforts. Let's at least, I'm not saying, you see, when the problem is when you appreciate something, people start saying, oh, you know what, you must be now, you're appreciating something done by these Ismaili or Kafir or Shia. It's like, calm down, for God's sake. This is the shame aspect of it. And it's amazing how during the Ismaili thing, so at the peak of the empire, which was by Al-Mu'izz, right? So Al-Mu'izz li Dinillah, who, by the way, is the person who set up Cairo. Cairo just simply means the victorious city of Mu'izz. That Madinatul Mu'izz al-Qahira. That's what it was actually called. And Mu'izz, when he establishes Cairo, he does, at their peak, is also the time that Andalus, Muslim dynasty in Andalus, is at its peak. And hence, Abdurrahman III in Al-Andalus also takes up a title like that, An-Nasir li-Dinillah, because he sees what they're doing, because Mu'izz declares himself that we are rightfully the caliphs of the Muslim world. It is us, because the Abbasids are useless. And the Mu'izz, to be fair, the Fatimids were incredibly powerful. They had defeated the Byzantines on several kind of aspects, on several kind of wars, especially, and they had the leading maritime, the naval power of the Muslim world. And mainly North Africa was theirs. Egypt, which was the center of the world, was theirs. And they were incredibly wealthy at the time. So, and at the same time, Andalus is peaking. It's at its strength. The heights that it would never reach after that. During the time of Abdurrahman III. And what is he? From Bani Umayyah. Oh my God, can you picture that, people? Bani Umayyah, and then you've got Fatimids. We are now thrusted back into the politics of old, of Makkah, between Bani Hashim and Bani Umayyah. And all this is rekindled. And then there's this kind of proxy wars that are going on between them. And so what happens is Bani Umayyah send some ships that kind of come towards Italy, and they kind of attack certain ports, and they kind of take something which belongs to some value that belongs to the Fatimids. And the Fatimids, then Mu'izz sends his best kind of admirals, people like Hassan al-Kalbi, who pursue the Umayyad ships right back to Spain and attack them there and destroy the ships. And then they come back victorious. It's crazy. It's like, whoa. And then Abdurrahman al-Nasir, he sets up the port Maria. Maria today, Al-Maria, is what he called it, Al-Maria, the watching tower, the port, because you watched out for the Fatimid ships that were coming. This was the new kind of major defense strategy. And he declares himself the caliph of the Muslim world. He says, you know what? Screw them. It's me. It's amazing, people. I'm telling you, we have so much history. I mean, it's like just like watching a TV series. It's so fascinating. But yeah, I mean, it's a shame that Muslims don't really encourage this, learning about this kind of stuff, and they don't know about it. And if they do learn about it, they're just too sectarian, unfortunately. I do have a lecture series on Al-Andalus, by the way. It is on YouTube. It's an audio. It's about 12 lectures. Right. Haven't Sunnis wrote on the greatness of the Fatimid Empire? I think they have, but they've kind of dissed them at the same time. It's kind of like, they praise them but then slap them. If you watch that, there's some kind of meme where he's like being really grateful and then slapping at the same time. It's like, yaar, bahut acha. Nahi yaar, bahut bade aadmi aap. It's like there's a story. I say story. It's like a joke narrative in Urdu where some guy he's this big kind of like big Chaudhry Saab, and and this other guy who doesn't like him, but he's a friend. He's kind of like a friend, but doesn't like him. So this one time, he's at his house. He's at this friend's house, and something spills on his. The shalwar is the trousers that you have with the kind of Pakistani suits, the kind of kameez and the shalwar. So something spills on his pants, on his trousers here. So he says, "Damn, yaar." He says, look, I've got all this stain on you. And the guy says, no problem here. I'll lend you a shalwar. Just take a shalwar of me. Because the shalwars, they come freestyle, like there's no one size fits all. You have this thing called a nara, a rope, which you kind of like tie. So this guy's now, he says, "Oh, thanks, buddy." So he's got his shalwar on because they were waiting for some guests. It was like an important business meeting that they were supposed to be having. So now the guests come, and it's for the friend. The friend has to introduce this Chaudhry Saab. So but he deep down doesn't really like him, but he has to kind of big him up. So the Chaudhry Saab, he's like, yeah, like, so he says, "Mashallah," he says, "Yaar," he says, "Yeah, Chaudhry Saab, this is Fulan Chaudhry Saab, he owns all these territories, he's the CEO of this company, and he does this, and he's got all this wealth, and he's got all of this, and he reads the list, like he does this, and he owns this, and he owns this, and he says, हाँ मगर ये शलवार," he goes, "वैसे शलवार जो पहनी हुई है वो मेरी है." So, हाँ, शलवार जो पहनी हुई है वो मेरी है, मगर हाँ बहुत बड़े चौधरी साहब हैं. He says that, but the shalwar he's got on, his pants, they're mine. But that said, the guy's, he's an entrepreneur. So that's like just a slap in the face, and then just carry on praising them. Right, so what is going on? Mufti Saab, Salma, alright, doing it. Right, what? Let me take some comments. Watching live from Houston. You're doing it, people. YouTube folks, what's going on? Let me take some questions. Right, so Mu'adh Rahman. Is Mu'adh in the house? You're doing it, Mu'adh, you're doing it. I think you're stuck in Cairo right now, but yeah. What is going on? Hassan, do you pray 3 times? I don't know what that question is about. People, no sectarian talk, please. Let's take a look. Is it Mufti? Answer, please. Anisa is asking, a man told me it's haram to shower naked. Did he mean to shower naked with him? If somebody says, it's haram to be showering naked, and he says that whilst in a communal shower, he says, "Yeah, it's haram, this one." What are you supposed to shower with a 3-piece suit on? Why on earth would it be haram to shower naked? I mean, that is just so stupid. Unless he means there's a bunch of people together, because that would just be dumb. What is the purpose of showering if not to be naked? That's not the purpose, but the purpose of the shower can only be fulfilled by being naked. So, oh God, people, we have to grow out of this attitude of being ashamed by our own bodies. Like, what the bodies, why are we, I mean, I understand, if people don't take care of their bodies. Just joking, yeah, joking. But I mean, what's that all about? Why are people embarrassed of like they feel that their private parts are somehow disgusting, or that these are something to be embarrassed of, or why, oh my God, I can't even look at, oh, बाबू भाई की तरफ नहीं देखने का है. Like, what's that all about? So let me just see, what are the questions, people? YouTube, what's going on? Those of you just tuning in, people, click like, click share the feed, yaar. YouTube, share it as well, man, share it, man. And those of you that have just tuned in, right, if you're not already following my pages or not subscribing, do so. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. And if you want to drop a super chat, go for it, yeah. Corner, oh my God. I just said that and it was kind of dropped there. Zebaji, you're doing it. Do you believe that every death is equal to 2 births? That the person is reborn, brings a new life mate into this world, hence increasing population? No, I don't think it's quite like a causative effect. I do think, obviously, that there are many more births than there are deaths, but I don't think it's a causative element, that there's any kind of causation between the two. I don't think a death triggers a birth. That would, because the birth has already been planned 9 months before. Remember there was that chicken vindaloo. Garam ho gaye log. They're like, yaar, ye, I'm feeling the heat, the heat. That was 9 months before the death. So I don't think that's planned in that sense. Right. Was Ja'far as-Sadiq an influence on Imam Malik when it comes to praying with sadal? It may, I mean, I don't know if he was an influence directly, or were they all taking from the same source, is another question. Did you study at a university in the UK? I have as well. También. Claro que sí. I have a few degrees. I mean, degrees don't mean anything to me. When people tell me they got a degree, I think like, sure, I've got a good few of them lying around somewhere. But from the UK, I do also have a bachelor's in science in psychology. I also have a teaching degree, so a PGCE from Birmingham University. I also have a master's in education from Birmingham University. That's the University of Birmingham, not the fake one. I know there's 2, but the main one, the red brick. But to me, these degrees don't really mean anything, I'll be honest with you. I think most of my learning, I didn't learn from things like degrees. I think I just learned it. Most of my learning was proactive. So whenever I proactively learned something, I learned it. Can you raise dogs? What? Can you raise... Oh, that question's gone. Can you raise dogs? See Al-An'am verse 4. Can you raise dogs? As in, can you own dogs? All right. Yes, you can. Right. So somebody said Imam Mahdi's coming. Well, tell him that there's a bit of a lockdown in with the whole international flying thing. So I think that's not. I don't know if it's the best time to be. The Mahdi thing. Fair enough. A lot of people believe in it, but it is actually kind of made up. It's amazing that Ibn Khaldun. I'm going through this other audio book on Ibn Khaldun. I mean, it's a book, but I'm going through the audio version. on the life of Ibn Khaldun and his thoughts and things like this, and it's amazing how he did a study on this whole Mahdi thing and showed that really this is something that crept into Sunni Islam hundreds of years after the Prophet, and it came through Shia Islam. So Sunnis only adopted this Mahdi concept something like maybe 400-500 years after the Prophet. Mainstream Muslims, I mean Sunni Muslims. Shia had it from very early on, but the Sunni Muslims didn't believe in a Mahdi. So this is why you'll never get any of the Salaf ever speaking about a Mahdi or anything like this. It doesn't make any sense, but it was really one of the first people that make mention of the Mahdi is the Tawwabun. Those people, the group of the elite Shia group that are based on exacting revenge for the murder of Hussein, radiyallahu an. So amongst them then comes Mukhtar later on. Now Mukhtar al-Thaqafi. Now, first of all, this is the oldest mention of the term Mahdi is amongst that group, and then Mukhtar takes this title as the Mahdi. It then continues as a Shia thing, and Sunnis do not at all accept it until maybe 400 years later, 500 years later. And it creeps into mainstream Sunni Islam via Sufism. So the Sufi practices, as they started to get, not the early Sufi practices, but the later Sufi practices start to get institutionalized. Maybe 500 years into Islam, 600 years into Islam. Around that stage, especially around that 600 years into Islam, as they're getting institutionalized, beliefs like the Mahdi belief creep in and become part and parcel of the institution. This is what Ibn Khaldun is speaking about in his Muqaddimah. And he highlights this, that this Mahdi thing is really, it's amazing how Muslims seem to be accepting it, because really it was only accepted by the Shia. And then it's an amazing case study that everybody just accepted it. That goes to show how beliefs spread, and then when they super spread, they just become the norm. But no, I don't really believe in anything like that. To me personally, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was the only Al-Mahdi, the truly guided individual that came to kind of guide us. I don't believe we need another Al-Mahdi, another truly rightly guided person to guide us after the Prophet. He was the final guide. That's my belief. I mean, people can disagree. I have nothing against them. They can believe in Mahdis and all they want, but that's my thoughts. 99% of eschatology. Oh, where did that comment go? Yeah, disappeared. There was a comment there. Somebody said that most of eschatology is made up. That is true. It is actually. Most of things to do with the end of times, al-fitan, that these, the al-fitan and ashrat, there's no basis for this. Even Imam Ahmad, he says that as well. Ahmad ibn Hanbal, that is. Right, so what's going on, people? What's going on? Did you watch the Malcolm X thing? I didn't actually watch all of it. I started it and I got distracted. Somebody said, but the Mahdi story is cool. Sure. Have you considered translating the Quran yourself? Zeba ji, kahan sharminda karte hain aap? Hi. कहाँ हम नालायक कहीं के and translating the Quran. This, in the words of Ghalib, that काबे किस मुंह से जाओगे गालिब, शर्म तुमको मगर नहीं आती. That how dare you try to face the Kaaba, go to the Kaaba to visit. शर्म तुमको मगर नहीं आती. You should be ashamed of yourself. The Quran has been translated. It doesn't need. I mean, there's many contemporary translations that I'm sure are they've done a great job, really. Please comment on Salih al-Munajjid said that no compulsion in religion only applies to Ahlul Kitab. Does this relate to ISIS? I'm not sure I understand what that means. Does it relate to ISIS? What does that mean? I don't understand that question. Angels never visit you. So the angels never visit you. I don't know what that question means. How many calories do you eat? I eat normal food. I do eat junk food, but I don't kind of go all out on it. So I every now and then I may eat a burger, but I'm not like mad. I actually prefer not eating. I would actually prefer home cooked food. And I'm not a food mad person. Believe it, I'm not foodie at all. I just want food. I want it to taste nice. Obviously, everybody does, but whatever that nice means, that's subjective. But I'm not mad, and I'm not enticed easily by food. Like if people said to me, "Oh, there's free food here, or there's this, or there's that," I've never. I mean, not just now. I mean, now obviously I'm a grown man, old man now. But even growing up, I was never enticed by food, and to me, I find it strange, and people find my lack of being enticed strange. But people would be like, "Hey, let's go there. There's all this food," and I would think like I don't get and I would literally eat anything. If I had to. I mean, I wouldn't be fussed. Like, I'm not that fussy. Even if it didn't taste all that and I knew I had to eat it, I'll just eat it. But yeah, I don't know. I guess I'm kind of handicapped in that field. I love steak though. I do love steak, honestly, and I eat it generally rare. That's the I'll have it rare blue as well. If I've ordered it like that on a few occasions, but I love steak. But yeah, cool. But I don't count my calories. The point was I don't go out on junk food that much, and I do take kind of like skimmed milk, and I do have diet drinks and stuff. But I'm not that conscientious the way some people are. But I do try to do exercise regularly. So, go keto. Yeah, I should actually. Steaks, whack. I honestly, I love steak, and it's a shame that it's not really that big in the Indo-Pak culture. Steaks, it's a shame. Yeah, what is going on? Rare steak, man. Hell yeah. Rare all the way. Vampires for life, people. I've got those fangs as well. What is your favorite dish? I don't know. I do, like I said, although I'll eat anything, I do obviously like food that tastes good. I'm not gonna lie. I'm not like I don't like that, but I just meant I would. There's been times where there's been food that is quite bland, but I know I have to eat, so I will just eat it. I'm not kind of somebody like, oh, I won't eat this. The taste ain't right. But that said, I do love things like biryani. I do love salan, curries. I do like that. I love steak as well, that said. I don't know, see, because I'm not a foodie person. I just want it to taste okay. I'll eat it. I wouldn't be fussy at all. It's on when it came to food. Beef stew. Yeah, I mean, I've had beef stew in the past. See, but this is it. I won't complain with anything. It's like, right. So, what is the Maliki position on attending Jum'ah? Is it obligatory? Right. Okay. So this is what is our? Yeah, somebody's asked about you don't get pleasure from. I mean, I get pleasure, but not like that. Yeah, like the way it does it for some people, it doesn't do it for me. For that, only other things, not food. I don't know whether that's a good thing or a bad thing, but I'm glad actually. I'm actually happy that I'm not mad over food, because I see some people who are, and they're so picky and they're so fussy and they won't eat sometimes. And, they'll be really, they'll be like, no, I can't eat it because it lacks this or doesn't. Me, I'll be like, don't worry about it, man. We'll eat something else tomorrow. Let's eat this for now. Guzara, yaar. I spent like a huge, it's about 7 years or something in Pakistan studying when I was in Pakistan, and obviously before that in Damascus, and a huge portion of my life has been as a dervish, as studying as a student of knowledge and living rough as well, and maybe that contributed, I don't know. So, alright. Say he is Allah. I don't get the question there. What is your view on Isalu Thawab through the Quran? Are you juiced up? I'm not juiced up, yaar. I need to be, but I'm not. This is right. So natty. So you. Right. So what? Right. See, I'm forgetting the question now. This is me still recovering from Corona. It's Corona time. Right. So what's the Maliki position on attending Jummah? Right, I think that, look, Jummah, obviously it is important. Nobody's denying that. However, I feel that it is a communal thing. You see, everybody agrees that Jummah had a kind of statutory, like a political aspect to it, and it had a worship aspect to it. What they disagreed on was which one of the two preponderates, as in it is overwhelming. It's more powerful out of the two. Now, some people felt that the worship aspect was more powerful, dominating. Therefore, Jummah, regardless of its political ramifications or entanglements, it must always be offered because the worship aspect is first and foremost. Some people felt that the political aspect was first and foremost. In those circumstances, Jummah is not obligatory necessarily everywhere. Hence, it was never obligatory in villages. So, Islamically, Jummah is not obligatory in villages. It was only obligatory in the cities. So this is why there's a debate that which of the two, everybody agrees that it has this bidynamic nature to it. This two, that it's political and ritual. So I would feel that its political aspect dominated. Therefore, hence women were never required to attend. Slaves were never required to attend. So I would feel in that light, in countries like this in the West, it's good. It's definitely a good thing, which is encouraged. And I do feel that some people should always be praying Jummah, but I don't feel it's an obligation for all people in these countries, because it just wasn't. That's my understanding, and I think that was the understanding of Imam Malik. I do feel that, and hence Imam Malik himself, when he began to disagree with certain things, he didn't attend Jummah for 25 years of his life. In fact, he didn't attend the mosque, let alone Jummah. They go, yaar, whenever Imam Malik needed to meet somebody, he'd say, "Chalo yaar, Jummah pe milte hain yaar. I'll, you know what? I'm busy right now. I'll meet you at Jummah." But so that's my take. But I don't think people might kind of say, "Oh my God, why are you saying something?" I am saying that I feel Jummah is a good thing. Don't get me wrong, and I feel that it's really good. That it's a great opportunity to kind of have people come together and give a sermon. That said, 95% of all of those opportunities are wasted anyway, because let's be real talk. the Jummah that we have is usually useless because nobody really understands the khutbah, and the khutbah is just something read out of a book, and it's usually, they don't really relate to the public anyway. So 95% of the opportunity is lost anyway. But that said, I do support the existence of a Jummah. So if nobody was praying Jummah at all, in non-Muslim parts of the world, I would feel that there should be some people that are praying it. Now, so to be fair, the fact that it's very common, Jummah is, that, most people are always praying Jummah, I think that's excellent. That's an excellent kind of achievement. I don't feel it's an obligation in this part of the world, even though it is still good if people do it. That's my kind of thought process on it. And people may now say, well, I'm a kafir for saying that. But hey, nothing new there. I'm already a kafir for saying all these other things. So I doubt it, the Jummah. I've shared this story before, that there's, I'll share it again. That somebody, in the time of the Salaf, Mark Lonzetta, you're doing it, Mark. You're doing it with the super chats. Those of you on YouTube, you need to be sending super chats if you want to talk to me. No, so Mark Lonzetta is saying, would you consider a lecture series on the Mudawwana? That would be interesting. Let's see. You know what it is? I just get too... I don't know what it is, Since I've taken up a career as a movie critic, I don't know where the time goes. All right. So anyway, I was gonna say that. So in the time of the Salaf, this one guy, as people get carried away, he got carried away once, and they were speaking about Hajjaj. And some people said, Hajjaj ibn Yusuf al-Thaqafi was such a tyrant, he's in hell, he's like blah, 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 blah. And one guy said, he's not in hell. And this other guy got really passionate and said, he is in hell, he is the winnie. When we accidentally forget and we think we are God. When we become too much at one with nature, we start thinking that, oh yeah, is it subhanallah or is it subhani? Isn't it subhani or is it subhanallah? So he says, of course he's in hell. And the other guy said, nah, he's not in hell. And they get a bit, jazbat, al-awatif. So he says, you know what? If Hajjaj is not in hell, then my wife is divorced. My wife has talaq. Cha. Why don't you do your wife over? That bichari's done nothing, and she's getting it for free. It's like, so this thing that, so he says, you know what? If Hajjaj ibn Yusuf is not in hell, my wife has a talaq. فَامْرَأَتِي طَالِقْ, then my wife has a talaq. That's it. She's talaqed. Then, as his temperament calmed down, the blood pressure kind of went, control. And as he kind of took it under control, he thought about it. And he thought, oh, yaar, And then he thought, nah, I'm all right, though. I'm all right. So some people then heard about it and they told him, look, listen, you need to really, you need to do tawbah because you don't know. Allah is merciful. Maybe he isn't in hell. And therefore, I think your wife is haram for you. So he went to a particular scholar and the scholar told him, yeah, your wife, you know what, you can't go back to your wife because she's now divorced and this is haram. So this is now zina. Allah. Look at him. You kinky, he's trying to spice it up. This is like zina now. So this guy's got all depressed now. He's like, Dukhi atma, yaar. It's like taking all this gham and dukh and what's the that और भी दुख हैं ज़माने में मोहब्बत के सिवा गम और भी हैं नो व्हाट इज इट और भी गम हैं ज़माने में मोहब्बत के सिवा राहतें और भी हैं वसल की राहत के सिवा अल्लाह 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 that there are other problems in this world as well, other sorrows and other than love as well. Yeah, it's not only love, but anyway. So this guy is so depressed, and he's like, yeah. And then you know what? I'm doing zina. I can't go back to my wife. I'm gonna end up in hell now, because you know I go home and you know it happens. You know, and now I'm doing zina. So I'm going to end up, Allah's going to put it. So eventually he goes to one of these scholars of the Salaf whose name is Ayyub al-Sakhtiyani. So Ayyub al-Sakhtiyani, he asks Ayyub that, look, can I go back to my wife or is it zina? So he says, look, don't worry about it. Just go back to your wife. So he goes back, but then he can't take it. He can't take it. He comes back to Ayyub and he says, you know what? You need to explain to me. Seriously, break it down. That are you sure it's okay for me, because I don't want to be doing zina, I don't want to go to hell. You know, it's like sometimes people say to me, Mufti, you need to explain it, otherwise I don't want to go to hell. So Ayyub al-Sakhtiyani says to him, look, listen, if after Hajjaj and all his killing, Hajjaj killed so many people, massacred them, yeah, all his oppression, his extortion, his robberies, his catapulting the Kaaba, if after all of that, let's say Allah didn't throw him into hell, let's just say, fine, then he sure as hell ain't gonna throw you into hell over zina. Then you got nothing to worry about. Right, so that's an interesting story, people. You can take some lessons from. People saying Bismillah, Zeba, Naz, Maryam, wa alaikum assalam. What's film? What is going on, man? Actually, someone send this to just for the reply so we can talk. I don't know what that is about. Right, so let's take some questions, people. What is going on? Inaya, you're doing it. What is going on? I keep seeing synchronicity everywhere. 11, 22, 33. What does that mean? You keep seeing patterns. But then when you think about it, it's amazing that this world has patterns to it, doesn't it? Honestly, have you ever thought about that? This, it goes to show that there's a kind of coding to this world, isn't there? Because the fact that everything can break down into numbers and patterns break down into numbers, don't they? Angles and repetition and, you know, the Fibonacci numbers and other, it's amazing. I think, wow, it just goes to show. Don't you think so? Even people, think about it, when people are on certain psychedelic experiences, like let's say with psilocybin or DMT, and they all see similar kind of panoptic patterns. And why is that? And I just think that these things are in creation. Right, what's the best way of learning vocabulary in Arabic? That's an interesting question. What's the best way of learning vocabulary in Arabic? I think a huge part is obviously you just have to learn repetition, certain amount. I would say that do things like watch TV if you can in Arabic, or watch it with Arabic subtitles. So a lot of the movies or TV series that you watch, or start watching Arabic TV series, Arabic kind of movies, or at least get, if not dubbed in Arabic, then the subtitles in Arabic. Yusuf Fulat saying, here Mufti, take my money. Ah yaar. Geo meri jaan, Geo. Right, okay, mention DMT, who had 1 hours and 20. Do you believe in life not on earth? Do I believe in, I'm not sure what that means, life not on earth. As in alien life or consciousness? I feel that consciousness is out there and we kind of tap into it. Kind of like a transmission. Like how we have, like people, like now the 5G or 4G or Wi-Fi, or the way these things are picked up, I feel that at a quantum level, the brain picks up consciousness. Who you bait to? Who's your sheikh? I don't. I mean, I don't really have a sheikh like that, as in Sufism. I don't. Although I have in the past, when you say part of the family, and my grandfather was very close to the Pir Sahib from Kotli Sharif in Pakistan, Azad Kashmir, and therefore he was very kind of close with him and visited him a lot, and in fact kind of knew him for most of his life. And when I was young, he took me there, and so said, "Oh, you're gonna give bayt, whatever, to Pir Sahib," which I did. But I don't really kind of adhere to that thing. But yeah, out of all the Pir Sahibs in Pakistan, I had a huge, immense respect. And if I want to consider, I don't know, I would have more of an academic allegiance, bayt, if you want to call it, to Pir Karam Shah Sahib, who I think was an amazing scholar from the Indian subcontinent. He was a graduate of Al-Azhar as well. Arsalan, you're doing it, Arsalan. Somebody said, why you look like a gangster, innit? Why you look like gangster, innit? Or look like, this is what gangsters look like, innit? What does that mean, innit? I don't know, innit? Pir Saqib Shami Sahib. Pir Saqib Shami Sahib. He's alright. But to me, Pir Saqib Shami Sahib is, I see him as a peer. I don't see him as like somebody senior or anything like that. Plus, with Pir Saqib Shami, he went to study the same time I went to study. In fact, we even crossed paths in Damascus. So we were there at the same time. So I don't really, although I admire, some of the effort, some of the results he's had with people. I don't necessarily agree with, that's not my thing, if I put it like that. It's not my cup of tea, but I feel he has done great work in turning people's lives around. But to me, I don't see him as senior, more as a linear thing in that sense. And but Pir Karam Shah Sahib, who's passed away, obviously he was totally revolutionary. He revolutionized a huge part of the madrasa system in Pakistan, and he introduced certain studies. He was the Chief Justice of Pakistan. He kind of worked on several the legalities within Pakistan, and he really brought a rational thought to the front line in a lot of Muslim circles. Rad Siddiqui, you're doing it, man. What's going on? Somebody said, have you heard of Naba 7 channel? No, I haven't, no. Adil, right, what is going on? Inaya, you're doing it. What do you think of the assassin, or the hashhashin, the assassins and Hassan Sabah? And I think it's really fascinating. And I was just speaking about this a little earlier on today, about the whole Fatimid dynasty. And although they are not Fatimid per se, but they are kind of from that Ismaili, they split off, obviously, the whole split, and then Hassan Sabah and the whole Hashashin movement. And it's incredibly fascinating. Right, so what is going on? Would you recommend to study Dars-e-Nizami or go to Al-Azhar? Right, that's a fascinating. What do I recommend? I think, you see, I think the Dars-e-Nizami is amazing. It has the potential to be amazing, but in many cases, it's incredibly dull. It's incredibly dull, abusive, and it kills off your faculties of critical thought. Now, that said, if they worked on it, it doesn't have to be. It could be amazing, you know. Ishaq Mullah, much love to you. Shukran. Your message kind of disappeared, but much love to you. What is going on? All right. So, um, somebody asked, "Are you a Mufti?" I am indeed. That's मैं जो हूँ मुफ्ती अबू लैथ हूँ जनाब इसका बेहद लिहाज कीजिएगा. Well, that's actually a rip-off of John Elia's poem. Right. Inaya was saying Hassan Sabbah influenced secret societies of Europe. He kind of did, yeah. Hassan Sabbah, he was incredibly intriguing. The whole thing about paradise on earth, the opiates that he was providing people. He created a secret society, or definitely pioneered, if not created, a secret society that, because the whole Ismailiyah had a secret society anyway, that existed prior to them. But he pioneered it to a great extent that it was so kind of fear striking in the hearts of many people. I mean, they killed off Nizam al-Mulk, who was like the, one of the top power figures in Baghdad, in Iraq at the time. He was one of the most powerful wazirs who had set up the whole Madrasa Nizamiya, which arguably they say one of the arguments is Dars-e-Nizami is based on the Nizamiya Madrasa syllabus or style. But Nizam al-Mulk, who was also he'd kind of laid the patronage to a lot of the madaris where Ghazali taught and other people later on taught, the Madrasa Nizamiya and the whole patronage system. He endowed madrasas and had them set up, which actually sustained and breathed life into sacred knowledge and by extension Arabic in the non-Muslim world. And he was killed off by them, by the Hashashin. So they were very powerful. I mean, they would wake up, they would be all drugged out and they'd wake up and there'd be all beautiful women and all this kind of stuff and heaven on earth. And then they would long forever to return, you see. But to return, they had to then carry out certain missions with great meticulous planning. Allah. And nothing quite like the promise of paradise to make sure you carry it out. Yeah, wording in Arabic for Hadith Prophet talking about his intimate life with Aisha radiallahu an to the Sahaba. Wording in Arabic. Yeah, so I'm not sure if I understand the question properly, but the question being asked by Ishaq Mullah is about, I think it's about, did the Prophet used to speak about this? And the Prophet did speak about his intimate life, but the Arabs as a whole seemed to do that. And to them, it seemed to be very different. Their culture was very different to ours today. Even though we live in a time that claims to be much more sexually liberal or liberated, but it's still quite reserved compared to the people of old. They were much more natural because they were in line with nature. So they just spoke about, it's like how people would speak today about eating. And as crazy as that sounds, but that's how they would speak about sex, like the way people would speak about eating. So imagine the way you said, oh yeah, we've had, we've had this food, or the way people casually, I suppose today maybe people speak a bit more about eating, but what I'm trying to say is the way you would have no hesitation in commenting on, yeah, I've just eaten, or like saying, yeah, today I ate this at home, or the way people will discuss food, I'm trying to give an analogy. I'm not trying to say the frequency, but the way there's a lack of hesitation. It was similar about sex with the Arabs. So, right, have you Naeem Khan? Are you Naeem Khan? Huh? Have you read about the bell curve? I have slightly, but not too much. No. Mufti was Sufyan ibn Uyayna and Thawri Shia. No, they weren't Shia, but I do think Ibn Shihab Zuhri was a double agent. Ibn Shihab Zuhri was a super spreader of hadith, and he, I feel, was a closet Shia. Although he was kind of in both circles. So he was playing the Sunni card when it was helpful, and he was playing the Shia card when it was helpful. Somebody asked, am I an Arab? No, I'm not an Arab. La 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 la. لست بعربي. الله. إلا إذا كنا نتحدث عن اللغة فطبعا. If we speak Arabic, what makes one an Arab is the question, huh? What makes one an Arab? Is it Arsalan, you're doing it. I'll get back to your point. Is it القدرة على النطق؟ فنعم، فمن هذه الناحية طبعا أنا منكم. Or is it بالنسب, by lineage? And then, no, I'm not an Arab in that sense. I'm Desi, people. Desi. Right, can you give a shout out to my friend Zaid? Full black from Zafar. Huh? Full black Zafar from Brampton. It's his birthday. Acha, happy birthday, Zafar. Wah. Gio Hazaro Sal. Happy birthday. Right, so what's going on, people? What's going on? Did you study Hanafi Ifta or Maliki Ifta in Pakistan? I studied both. So I was fortunate enough to also have a Maliki teacher. There was a Tunisian Mufti, Mufti Sheikh Salim, a Tunisi who was from Tunis, and he was living in Pakistan for a few years at the time. And he was a teacher at the madrasa where I was. It was just divine providence, people. I hadn't planned it, but it worked out that way. And so I had said at the time that I want my iftar, the mufti thing, to be done in both. I will do the Hanafi, the core books like Ibn Abidin's Fatawa, but I don't want to do the other. So they had some other books, like, let's say, a few you studied, is it Imdadul Fatawa of Ashraf Ali Thanwi Saab and a few other things. So I said I don't want to do them, but I want to, instead of all of these books, I want to study Maliki Fatwas. So, like, I'll be working on them as well. So the Maliki side would be supervised by Mufti Sheikh Salim at Tunisi, and the others would be just supervised by the Pakistani ulama. So they actually agreed. I mean, so alhamdulillah, it worked out great. Right, so what are your views on Mohammed Hablas? I've spoken before about people like Mohammed Hablas. I don't know about recently, unless he's changed his tactic, but I don't really agree with that line of, that hard-hitting, shouting, kind of dawah man kind of approach to Islam. I don't like it. I feel it's counterproductive. I feel it scares people away from Islam. It feeds into the stereotypes of Islam, and it does a lot of harm. So people like Hablas, when they preach their stuff, and he still hasn't made a public apology, by the way, and corrected himself for saying, which I criticized a few years back. I made a post where he has a video saying that if you get the worst person in this world, who is a terrorist, a murderer, a pedophile, an alcoholic, a wife beater, a drug dealer, a criminal, and he's all of these put in together. And he actually says, he rapes children, does this, does that. He says he is still less hated in the eyes of Allah, in the eyes of God, than somebody who misses his prayers. So if somebody was one of these things, but he prayed, he's still better. That's what he says, in the eyes of Allah, than somebody who misses his prayers. That is one of the most disgusting, irresponsible kind of comments and toxic, dangerous comments that I've ever heard from somebody who claims to preach religion. And it's a shame. I'm as disappointed in the clergy for not taking him to task. I had Maulanas. I spoke to Maulanas about it. And do you know what they said to me? They said, yes, but he's done good work, so we don't want to criticize him. Shame on you. Shame on you for allowing somebody from a pulpit to preach in what is being recorded and shared and watched by thousands of people. His clip had been watched by hundreds of thousands of people, saying that Allah still loves pedophiles and rapists and murderers and drug dealers so long, and terrorists, so long as they pray their prayer. And he loves them more than people who don't pray. You know what? That kind of a teaching, shove it up where the sun don't shine. And these Maulanas that refuse to condemn him, these people, I have no time for these people. So these are my thoughts on people like Hablas and anybody who refused to condemn that kind of thing just because he's part of the fraternity of mullahs. So that, you see, this is irresponsible, this kind of stuff. And he ought to have come out and apologized, and not only apologized, corrected himself and said, please delete that recording of mine, and I was mistaken. I got carried away, and I should never have said something like that. Yeah. So this is it, and that is not true. And people try to say, oh, Ibn al-Qayyim said something like Ibn al-Qayyim said. Who is Ibn al-Qayyim? Is he your dad? I mean, what is Ibn al-Qayyim said something like this? I mean, and what? Even if Ibn al-Qayyim said it, even if he did say it, who the hell is he? He ain't God. He ain't the prophet. Since when? Why have you got your head shoved up Ibn al-Qayyim? Who is Ibn al-Qayyim? He's come 700-800 years after the prophet. You don't quote Imam Malik, who was in the time of the Salaf. You don't quote Imam Abu Hanifa. You don't quote the companions. You're quoting Ibn al-Qayyim. Who the hell is Ibn al-Qayyim? You know, just because he's a scholar, and I can respect him for his scholarship, but it doesn't mean I need to be blinded by any kind of nonsense that has been excreted by these kind of people. Because that's all it is. A statement like this it's worse than excrement. You know, to justify killings, to justify terrorism, to justify murdering children, raping women, and saying that so long as you pray, God still loves you better than he doesn't love. That to me, it's better that you never spoke a word of Islam than you speak saying that kind of stuff. And I couldn't care less if Ibn al-Qayyim said it. You know, Ibn al-Qayyim, who the hell is he? You know, I mean, what? Since when is Ibn al-Qayyim God? You know, so Ibn al-Qayyim al-Jawziyah. Well, clearly isn't Ibn al-Qayyim. Ibn al-Qayyim means the son of, it can mean the son of somebody of values. Or it can mean the son of somebody who manages. In his case, it was because his ancestor kind of like managed the madrasa set up by Ibn al-Jawzi. But the point is, here he clearly, you know, لا نرى القيم في أقواله. So don't bring me Ibn al-Qayyim. In the words of Imam Abu Hanifa, hum rijalun wa nahnu rijal. You know, they are men and we are men. So, I mean, if you bring me nonsense, we throw it right back in your face. I don't give a damn if your name is Ibn al-Qayyim or whether your name is Hablas, or whether your name is Fred West, or whether your name is some other, I don't know, some other, or Hitler in that sense. So, yeah. That's the thing in it. And if these people, they provoke us, then this is what will happen. And that, people might say, why do you get worked up? Why do you say these things? But what else, people? And in the words of Dag, where he says, "Falak ko pada dil jalon se kaam nahi." That the heavens have, like, what is it that they're doing messing with? Falak ko pada dil jalon se kaam nahi, jala kar raakh na kar dein, to daag naam nahi. That's the... Let's take some of these questions, people. Do you believe the Quran during Revelation was taken in its Arab context of the day to be purely metaphorical, somehow got lost in translation and gradually became literal over the centuries? I'm not saying it was entirely metaphorical, but I feel that there was metaphor in the Quran. There was also symbolism. It was symbolic as well, trying to refer to things, but trying to also highlight the concepts behind them. So it may it may illustrate imagery whereby it's trying to signify a concept. Like, so for example, imagery today of a dove, a white dove, may kind of symbolize freedom, or prosperity, or something like this. And in a similar way, imagery that the Arabs had. So definitely. Ishaq Mullah Mufti, I paid a lot. You didn't answer. What's your question? Yeah, I forgot. Can't even see his question. I did answer. I thought I answered the question. The question was on I thought I did answer the question. You'll have to post the question again. Somebody said dove is for peace. Yeah, of course. It could symbolize peace. Could symbolize, I suppose, an element of freedom. But okay, peace more so. Sorry, whatever it kind of symbolizes for people. You're right. Maybe like a galloping white horse symbolizes freedom more so. You're right. I stand corrected. So... yep, Naz, I hope that answers the question. So I do feel that people did kind of ritualize more the Quran as time went by. Frowdy Frobry is saying London is dead tonight. Yep, I'm not surprised. Cool. Oops, you're... told me. Right. Whoa, all those comments went at once. Dove is peace. Sorry. Dove is peace. Yeah. Peace, hey, yaar. Peace, freedom, peace. Zeba, shukran. Much love. But my point. But you get the point. You get the point. Point ko pakadiye, yaar. Point ko pakadiye. Oh, Ishaq said I asked for the hadith in Arabic. Right. I'm not sure which this. So there's there's a hadith. The hadith where the Prophet is speaking about being intimate with his wife. There's several, so I'm not sure. There's one in Sahih Muslim where somebody comes in and he asks the Prophet about if a person does ghusl but they haven't climaxed. If they finish but finish without finishing. If there's no climax, and do they still do ghusl? And in that hadith the Prophet says قَدْ فَعَلْتُهُ أَنَا وَهَذِهِ. If that's the hadith, that's one of them. He says, me and her, we've done this on several occasions. فَاغْتَسَلْنَا, and then we did ghusl. So that's one. There's other narrations that people say al-ma' min al-ma', which are to do with sex. I'm not sure which hadith you're referring to. So, but that's one anyway. So I hope that helps. This poor guy, he didn't finish. Yeah, he's like, It's like, where's that, in the words of Ghazali, the only pleasure in this world which resembles the pleasures of paradise. Ghazali goes, that's the orgasm. Which, to be fair, he's probably onto something there. Right, Mufti, are you the Imam of your local masjid? Hell no. Was Imam Malik the Imam of his local masjid? Hell no. Was Imam Abu Hanifa the Imam of his? Hell no. Was Imam Bukhari the Imam? Hell no. No, the scholars of the past were never Imams of their masjids. This is a new thing that people, they kind of assume this. Yusuf Fulat said, is Viagra halal? Of course Viagra is halal. Why would Viagra not be halal? I mean, it doesn't mean you have to pop it like Smarties. You know, you just have a problem. There's, you end up doing the wrong Qiyamul Layl. You know, Qiyamul Layl means the standing throughout the night. So, you know, sometimes in masjids they make an announcement. They say, right guys, during this next week we're going to have Qiyamul Layl. We're going to have like a standing throughout the night. So you go, oh, Qiyamul Layl, okay. Oh, huh? Is that we're going to do? And the Imam's like, no, of course it's normal. We have it every month. You're like, huh? You do? It's like, yeah, in a large congregation. Like, really? Position of Imam is far too lowly for a Mufti. A Mufti is a different task. It has a different function. So, but I wouldn't, to be honest, I wouldn't want to be an Imam. Who wants to? It's not my style. I would just corrupt the people. I'm not a pious person. I've never claimed to be a pious person. Why lie? I mean, I won't lie to you. I mean, I think being pious is good. It's just not fun. Now somebody's going to quote me there. You naughty. Right, so, but it's in the words of Ghalib, मैं जानता हूँ सवाब ताअत और ज़ुहद, पर तबीयत इधर नहीं आती. You know, it's, how does modern philosophy and Islam see each other? I don't think there's a clash between Ismail Akram, between modern philosophy and Islam. In fact, you can read an amazing work by Ibn Rushd called it's called Faslul Maqal, فيما بين الشريعة والحكمة من اتصال. I think that's the full title. But he speaks about how philosophy, by philosophy in his day and age they meant science, is in harmony with the Sharia. It's an amazing book. It's not big at all. Easily you could read it within just one sitting. I think it's just probably like about 80 pages or something. Right. So what is going on? Right, shall we take a... Whoa, let's take a look. So, let's take a look at our... some masala time, people. And then if there are any rapid questions, we can take a look at them. But what it is that many of us have had a dream, people. And there's been great dreams that have happened, and people have seen them. But now, before you, I present a new dreamer. Those of you that don't know our beloved here, this is Maulana. Maulana, somebody who definitely takes a keen interest in me. In fact, at one time he often spoke about me. But now Maulana Abdul Rahim Limbada. Bada to khair bada, hum zahar bhi pee jaएं katil. In fact, oh my God, is this what inspired our other beloved Sheikh Asrar to Ratwi Saab to drink poison. As the poet says that Bada is alcohol in Urdu and in classic Urdu. So I believe it's a Farsi term. But Bada to khair Bada, hum zahar bhi pee jaएं katil. Shart to ye hai hame baahon mein sambhale koi. So Limbada Saab has also had a dream, people. And his dream, Allah Miyan ishare kar rahe hain, Allah Miyan ishare kar rahe hain about the coronavirus. So just to explain that what it is, for those of you that have been unaware, Limbada Sahib speaks about basically that now that there's a scare to do with the coronavirus, some person has seen a dream. And I'm going to play the clip in a while. So this person who's seen the dream tells him that coronavirus came to him as a man. Allah, you naughty, you teasing me, فَتَمَثَّلَ لَهُ بَشَرًا سَوِيًّا. As to Mary, that the angel appeared as a man. So it's فَتَمَثَّلَ لَهُ to this person, this Vaisal, who was, I think he was from Italy. I can't remember. I think he was Indian, or he says in fact he says he was Bangladeshi. The person who had the dream, I think. So he had this dream, and in his dream, some people have exciting dreams. Some people get a bit little naughty dreams. But this person had coronavirus come to him in the shape of a man, and the coronavirus. He said, "Who are you? Who are you? Who are you, man? Who are you?" And Limbada Sahib is telling this, he's preaching this, yeah. He says that, and he says, मैं तो coronavirus हूँ. He says, I'm coronavirus, yaar. Yaar, it's मैं हूँ ना, yaar. And so what happens is this guy tells him that Allah sent me as a punishment. He sent me as a punishment to kind of like get back at the people, because apparently 3 people raped some Muslim lady who was a Uyghur in China. So when they unfortunately raped her in this story, her name was Aisha. He happens to know the name. He happens to know all the details, this guy does. And he says whilst they raped her, they either placed something on her mouth or held her mouth. But anyway, she couldn't speak, so she had to cover. Her mouth was covered. So whilst her mouth was covered and she couldn't scream or speak, she said to Allah, "Why is this happening to me? So why don't you take revenge?" So Allah, obviously the angels as well would have thought, "Yaar, point ki baat hai, yaar." Why doesn't Allah take revenge? So Allah said, well, fair enough, let's take revenge. Let's send the coronavirus. So he created the coronavirus. God created it and sent it to Wuhan. But the first 3 people that got killed with it were the 3 rapists. So they died first. Then it just, as a byproduct, just killed off the rest of Wuhan. And then coronavirus told this person in the dream, then Allah sent me to Iran, because those people are Shia, and the Shia are Gustakh. So now I'm going to do them over. And then Limbada Sahib says, and coronavirus said, I don't get, by the way, those who are Muslim, I recognize them because they do wudu, I can tell. But those who are Muslim and don't pray, or those who are Muslim and hang around with non-Muslims, I attack them too. Okay. And if it happens that a decent Muslim happens to get killed by the coronavirus, then he's a martyr anyway, so don't worry about it. It's not that bad. This is his message. And then he says, look, I recognize that this is a dream, but Allah Mia ishare kar rahe hain, ishare kar rahe hain in the dream, this one. So now we're going to see this, just un momento, people, un momento. So this is what we've got here, Limbada Saab, and as you can see,
अल्लाह पाक कभी कुछ इशारे करते हैं। उन्होंने देखा कि कोरोना वायरस उनके ख्वाब में इंसान की शक्ल में। उन्होंने पूछा तू कौन? मैं कोरोना वायरस हूँ।
मैं कोरोना वायरस हूँ।
अच्छा, तुम कब आए? कहने लगे हम 29 अक्टूबर को आए।
Look, the exact date, 29th of October.
ये ख्वाब में वो वायरस बोल रहा है। और फिर उसको पूछा कि अब तुम्हारा क्या मकसद है, क्या है? कहने लगे हम चाइना वालों ने मजालिम किए, चाइना को खत्म करके रहेंगे, उसको
चाइना को खत्म करेंगे।
और फिर आगे कहाँ जाओगे? कहा फिर हम ईरान जाएंगे,
फिर ईरान जाएंगे।
वहाँ कुरान पाक की बहुत बेहुरमती हो रही है, सहाबा की बहुत गुस्ताखियां हो रही है।
गुस्ताख पीपल ने।
उसके बाद हम इंडिया जाएंगे,
फिर इंडिया, बॉलीवुड
हो रहे हैं, उनको भी उनकी मईशत भी खत्म करेंगे,
उनको भी खत्म।
मुसलमानों को लगेंगे हमारे यहाँ, क्योंकि वो बांग्लादेशी हैं, तो कहा कि उनों से अपना मेल जोल रखते हैं, मुस्लिमों से उनको भी पकड़ेंगे। ये ख्वाब है। अब ये ख्वाब में अल्लाह पाक कभी कुछ इशारे करते हैं,
अल्लाह पाक इशारे कर रहे हैं।
ख्वाब में अल्लाह पाक कभी कुछ इशारे करते हैं,
ख्वाब में अल्लाह पाक कभी।
तुम्हारे ये इशारे हम तो दीवाने हैं तुम्हारे।
तौबा
तुम्हारे ये इशारे हम तो दीवाने हैं तुम्हारे।
ये तौबा, ये अल्लाह मियाँ क्या इशारे कर रहे हैं मौलाना लिम्बादा साहब को। तौबा 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 तौबा, तुम्हारे ये इशारे, ये अल्लाह यार, ये इशारे हो रहे हैं, इशारे। Oh my God, people, this is the kind of nonsense that we have to deal with. I'm serious that people are preaching this stuff and they're sharing this. अल्लाह मियाँ इशारे कर रहे हैं। तौबा, तुम्हारे क्या अल्लाह इशारे हो रहे हैं यहाँ पे, कैसे कैसे इशारे हो रहे हैं। It's so embarrassing, right? So this is what we have to put up with. And Limbada Sahab goes, at the end of the day, it's a dream, but Allah Mia ishare kar rahe hain, ishare. Allah Mia कैसे कैसे इशारे करते हैं यार। कभी हमें इशारे नहीं करते यार ये। Oh God, man, people, this is just the crazy stuff, man. This is what we have to deal with. I think, whoa, is it 1:30? I think we should be wrapping it up, people. Any last final rapid round questions? Then let's wrap this up. That's enough for. Where is Taraweeh in the Quran? Oh, come on. Taraweeh isn't in the Quran. Of course it isn't. Every Maulana is probably atheist in disguise. I don't know if he's an atheist, but he's definitely... A lot of these Maulanas cause more harm than they do good. Is there an angry massive going on Facebook? Is there? All right. That's it, people. Burn those calories. Keep clicking. Angry face, angry face. यार ये अल्लाह इशारे कर रहे हैं यार। Come on. All right. Who is the Dajjal? Come on. Any other questions? Are you waking up for tahajjud today? Come on, behave. When's the last time I prayed tahajjud? I mean, my walking and talking is a form of prayer, yeah. Allah, Allah, Allah. Remembrance of Allah is only done once you forget about Allah. Allah, Allah, Allah. Alright, so Pir Zulfikar. You know, Pir Zulfikar is somebody I hear he's been up to the nutty hanky. I think he was in Dubai doing the extra, the extra, I got that extra step. You know how Limbada said that Allah ishare hame kar rahe hain. So this Pir Sahib was also doing some ishare to some of his clientele, the of the gentler side. अच्छा मोहतरमा चलो तावीज़ देने में आ जाऊंगा ये एक खास तावीज़ this is a special तावीज़ this one you naughty alright somebody said I look like Ted Bundy alright no idea what Ted Bundy looked like cool by the way those of you that are new to watching me on YouTube do click subscribe, click the notification bell. Those of you who have already subscribed, click the notification bell. I'm releasing a clip every single day, a different clip. So that way, you would get a notification. You'd get notified. Yeah, you'd be in the loop. People, you'd be in the loop. Somebody said, can I be a mod? Yeah, reach out to me. Cremation, I did say about the coronavirus, if that's what the scientific advice is, then we can allow cremation for those people. Okay. Ted Bundy. Ted Bundy, come on, I can't look like Ted Bundy. Is this what Ted Bundy looked like? Right, so, what's your opinion on saying Madad, ya ex passed away scholar, saint, prophet? No, I don't believe in that kind of stuff. I think you should, as the hadith says, إِذَا اسْتَعَنْتَ فَاسْتَعِنْ بِاللَّهِ. If you're to seek help, then seek help from God. That's help in that sense. I don't mean in a sense like, hey, can you pass me a pen? That kind of help. I mean like divine help. I know about the wives in Jannah, but will the wives get handsome men too? Why not? Why not? But is the afterlife even going to be like that? Or is this just imagery? What if the afterlife is genderless? Have you thought about that? Mind blown. But seriously, what if it's about consciousness and it doesn't have a gender? No, people, I'm not on DMT right now. What about saying Ya Rasulullah? I mean, I don't believe it's haram to say these things. Like, I don't believe saying Ya Rasulullah is haram, but I don't believe you should be asking for divine help from any. If it's divine, it's just God. Full stop. That's my understanding. Don't just make stuff up, man. Okay, I've been caught out here. Here's me thinking I can just easily sit here and make stuff up, but I got caught out. Are you on Dizzle? Whatever, I'm not sure what that is. Who do you think that clip? I don't understand. I don't know. I don't understand your question. Cool. Right, people, I think we should wrap it up with that. Why are you waffling? Are you feeling alright? I'm totally not feeling alright. Are you allowed to do tayammum? The Malikiya do allow tayammum a lot more than the other madhabs, and they allow it with a lot more relaxed reasons than the other madhabs. With the other madhabs, it's like almost like there's death. There's death and there's tayammum. Then there's like global pandemics and all other kind of things, and zombie attacks and but with the Malikiya it's like tayammum is like, it's like they allow it for a lot of things. It's very kind of relaxed. So I know in Morocco, where a lot of the old people go into masjids, they're like, they can't really reach their feet so easily whilst doing wudu, so they just do tayammum. That's why all mosques in Morocco have any prayer place has a stone that you can do tayammum. So if you ever go there and you see this big stone, don't think that's for istinja. Don't take that as your istinja stone, as you take it away and then you bring it back, and then everybody's kind of wiping. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is how the coronavirus emerged. People, with that, I'm going to wrap it up. It's been awesome, as always. Shukran for really, for sticking it out, really, the whole, this whole duration. Those of you that haven't already subscribed, people, YouTube, click the notification, Facebook, my page, Instagram, you can always message me there. I have also set up a supporter page. Other than that, people, as always, remember me in your kind du'as. Do remember to keep calm during this pandemic. Seriously, it's not as bad as people are saying. Things are going to be okay. Most of the crazy thing is in your own head, okay? And I don't mean by that the virus. It's your thoughts that are freaking you out. Stay calm, people. Keep calm. Carry on doing what you're doing. Don't go manic. Don't you don't need to stockpile. You don't need to spread panic. You don't need to spread fear. Many of us have probably already had this virus and recovered. And I'm being honest. And I don't think I think that's just how it is. But at the same time, obviously, hygiene is important. You can avoid, I would say, it's best to avoid, if possible, kind of all these, any kind of congregational gatherings or masjids in that sense, things like this. I totally agree. You don't need to be attending masjids or other places. You can just chill. If you can, work from home. Just relax. Boost up on the vitamins, take other things, glutamine, all these kind of things. They're very helpful, I think. That's my theory. But yeah, fluids. Take very good care of yourselves. Remember me in your kind du'as. And by the way, first and foremost, always have an optimistic element of tawakkul on Allah. That Allah will always make it be fine. So take very good care of yourselves, folks. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi ta'ala wa barakatuh. Over and out, folks. Over and out.